Living a healthy life doesn't have to be complicated. Through conversations on nutrition, holistic wellness, non-toxic living, and faith, this podcast is here to encourage, equip, and inspire you to care for your body well. I'm Kelly, and you're listening to the Bloom Your Health podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bloom Your Health podcast. I am your host, Kelly Bloom, and today we're going to be talking about artificial fragrances that are found in common products like makeup, cosmetics, perfume, cologne, and all the other common things that we're using on a regular basis. And we're going to talk about what they are actually doing and how they are harming our health significantly. I'm going to be going through this NIH article that talks about the harms of endocrine disruptors. And as I talk about artificial fragrances, I'm going to talk about the common chemicals and substances that are normally found alongside the term fragrance that you'll see on the back side of your ingredient labels, on your makeup, cosmetics, and all of the common day products that you might be using. So this article that I'm going off of and I'm basing all my information off of is coming directly from a trusted government website, the NIH. This is not just a random website, and this article actually, I truly believe, is groundbreaking. This is something that we need to truly be talking about more, and that every single person needs to hear about, because this is just absolutely crazy. So, specifically, ingredients such as phthalates, parabens, volatile organic compounds, which are also called VOCs, and heavy metals, these are commonly used to achieve desired cosmetic effects, but growing evidence suggests that they may pose significant health risks. So that's a lot of names, and that's a lot of chemicals, and these chemicals are in our everyday products, in everything we use. It can be your makeup, your cosmetics, your skincare, your perfume, your cologne, your shampoo, your conditioner, your body wash, nail products. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. These products are in our everyday things, and we are consistently being exposed to them because the regulation is so slim on what these companies are allowed to put in the name artificial fragrance, or just fragrance, or perfume. These chemicals like parabens, phthalates, these have actually been shown to cause reproductive harm, endocrine disruption, respiratory issues, allergic reactions, and cancer. I mean, these things are not harmless, and we are using them all the time. So a broad overview of what each of these chemicals is doing, and then we're going to dive deep into each chemical, each reaction, and how these things are truly harming your health. So specifically, phthalates and parabens have been shown to mimic our hormones, causing disruption to our endocrine system. So the endocrine system is dealing with your hormones, and this includes the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, adrenal glands, your pancreas, and your reproductive organs. And this is a big part of our body. And the fact that these chemicals are literally mimicking the things that our body needs to survive is actually really scary. And I'm going to dive deeper into that as we go into this podcast. So next, VOCs, volatile organic compounds, are commonly used in aerosol products like your dry shampoo and hairspray. And they're used in aerosol products and fragrances. They've been shown to cause respiratory disorders, neurological issues, and we'll dive deep into that as well. And another scary thing too is heavy metals. They're found in our skincare products. They accumulate in the body and produce toxic effects over time. And the unfortunate thing is that the regulation of these products is not good, and the FDA guidelines, they often fall short just because there's just very little ingredient disclosure forced on these companies. And so they can basically put whatever they want. They can use super cheap ingredients, and they're not looking out for the health of the consumer. They're just trying to make the most money by putting the cheapest, most accessible products and chemicals that people are going to buy and they're going to be attracted to because they smell good, or whatever you find just regularly and commonly on the shelves. I mean, these products, seriously, like I said, they are all around us. We are putting them directly on our skin. It is getting absorbed into our body. And on top of that, we inhale these chemicals. I mean, they are in our paint, they are in our products that we use every single day. And I think we forget how common this exposure is. So now I'm going to specifically talk about what an endocrine disruptor is and the harms it's actually doing on the body and the processes it affects. So, specifically from the NIH, this is what they say. These substances can mimic, inhibit, or interfere with endogenous hormone signaling, thereby disrupting critical regulatory pathways associated with reproduction, metabolism, and thyroid function. Endocrine disrupting chemicals can interfere with hormones such as estrogen, testosterone, thyroid hormones, and insulin, provoking physiological disturbances across multiple systems. It is saying that these endocrine disruptors interfere with the pathways that our body needs to sustain reproduction, metabolism, thyroid function, things that our body is doing on a daily basis. They can intervene with estrogen, testosterone, insulin, these things that our body is using all the time. And it's not just affecting one system, this is affecting multiple systems, multiple processes in the body. Um, and on top of that, endocrine disruptors have been shown to increase obesity, diabetes, PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that is going off of how these endocrine disruptors are disrupting our hormones. And now, more than ever, these harmful chemicals are being introduced at an even younger age. For example, bisphenol A or BPA, which is commonly used in plastic packaging, is shown to be able to cross the placental barrier and can disrupt the fetal endocrine system. This chemical is, when exposed prenatally, is extremely harmful, and it can actually produce lasting effects on gene expression that can be passed on to the next generation, whether or not BPA is present. So if a mother is exposed to BPA during pregnancy or even prenatal, this can produce effects that not only affect just her offspring, but her offspring's offspring and continually move down the line. And it's super scary that this is happening. And so, moving into artificial fragrances and their effects on fertility, which this is such a prevalent issue. Infertility is so prevalent in our society. And I forget the exact statistic of how common infertility is, but I mean, we look around and we see it all around us. So, specifically, another quote directly from the NIH says that in females, these compounds, so endocrine disruptors and artificial fragrances, these compounds can compromise ovarian function, oocyte quality, which is the egg cell, hormonal signaling pathways necessary for conception and gestation, and in males, endocrine disrupting chemicals can impair spermatogenesis, which is the creation of sperm, reduce sperm motility, and lower sperm counts, collectively undermining fertility. Additionally, exposure to these chemicals has been associated with early onset puberty in both sexes, which may disrupt growth trajectories, sexual maturation, and long term reproductive outcomes. These chemicals are showing to affect leading causes of infertility. When you just think common sense, this is crazy that these chemicals and substances are allowed to be put in our products. They are directly causing infertility, and women don't know. Women do not know that they are silently harming their health and their fertility as they use these. And now, like I said, we are using these products from a young age. We see these Sephora kids and these girls, these young girls that are going to Sephora and they're buying Sol de Janeiro perfume and they're buying all these makeup products, Summer Fridays, they're buying hair products that are literally destroying their fertility. And we're starting this at age 5. As when I grew up as a kid, I didn't really start buying makeup till I was in like middle school, high school time. And now we're starting at an even younger age. And this needs to start getting more regulation, especially since younger kids are using makeup products and it's becoming more prevalent. And so, specifically in a study done with rats, prenatal exposure to a certain UV filter called OMC, which is used in sunscreen. So, this is an endocrine disruptor. It was shown to cause decreased maternal thyroxine, which is also called T4 levels. This directly affects testosterone levels and sperm counts in the offspring. And these lower thyroxine levels were causing lower testosterone and lower sperm counts in the males. So these rats that were exposed to this UV filter, which is, again, it's commonly used in sunscreens, which in the summertime, at least here in colder environments, we're only using in the summertime or when we go to warmer climates. But when you are living in a warmer climate like Florida, California, Texas, Georgia, all these southern states that are using these harmful chemicals on a daily because they're going to the beach, or on a weekly because they're being exposed to the sun and they are using chemical sunscreens, they're being exposed to these chemicals regularly. And it is literally shown to cause fertility issues in males. And in addition to this, phthalates, another endocrine disruptor found in many products, have been shown to cause both early onset puberty or delayed puberty, which is showing that these chemicals are directly impairing endocrine pathways in the body. Another quote from the NIH, parabens, which are, again, more endocrine disruptors. They exert estrogenic effects by binding to estrogen receptors and mimicking the activity of endogenous estrogens. By exhibiting estrogenic activity, they can overstimulate estrogen receptors and disrupt endocrine homeostasis. That is a lot of words and a lot of confusing terms. Basically, what that is saying is that parabens, they bind to the estrogen receptors in our cells, and it disrupts estrogen levels in the body, and it is disrupting our homeostasis of estrogen, because we know too much estrogen is bad, and obviously too low estrogen is bad. And scary thing too is these parabens are not only affecting females, this is affecting males. And when males have disrupted estrogen levels, that can cause a whole host of issues as well. And like I said, and I'm going to repeat myself multiple times, we have to remember that these products are everywhere. We put them on our skin every day. We use them in our laundry detergents. We use them in our nail polish. These things that are directly on contact to our skin, like I said, laundry detergent, makeup, skincare, all these things. And on top of that, we're inhaling them like air fresheners, plug-ins, candles, cologne, perfume, laundry detergent that's just literally coming off of our clothes and we're inhaling. Cosmetic products by your face that you're putting directly by your nose and your mouth, you're inhaling them. So VOCs, which are formally known, like I said, as volatile organic compounds, are carbon-based chemicals that evaporate easily into the air at room temperature. Common examples include formaldehyde, benzene, and acetone. So VOCs are in common products that we use every day. We don't think about it because obviously on the back of your ingredient label, you're not going to see VOCs, but they are hiding in chemicals like artificial fragrance. And long-term exposure to VOCs has actually been shown to increase asthma. And on top of that, persistent exposure to aerosolized cosmetics, which contain VOCs, including spray deodorants, dry shampoos, setting sprays, all these types of things, they are associated with structural changes in lung tissue, impaired gas exchange. This is how we exchange between CO2, carbon dioxide, and oxygen in our lungs and in our blood. And a heightened risk of respiratory infections is all caused by long-term VOC exposure. We might not think that we are being exposed long-term, but think about it. You use perfume. You might spray it once a day, twice a day. You easily spray your spray deodorant at least once a day, maybe even 2 times, maybe even 3 times if you're in a sport. Hairspray, plugins, These are in people's houses. They're sleeping in them. They are in their bathrooms. They are in their kitchen. They are everywhere. And you're putting them in your house at all times where you spend probably most of your time. Car air fresheners. These things that you think, oh, it's fine. It's just one little thing. These things add up. Slowly and slowly, they are adding up and adding up and adding up. And children are the most susceptible to these chemicals because their lungs are still developing and they're still maturing. So again, we might not think that these products are harmful or that we're only using so little so it doesn't really matter, but we are being exposed all the time and we need to do our best to decrease our exposure to these chemicals because of all the harms that they're causing. And now, shifting gears, what we're going to talk about is cancer and how these chemicals are causing cancer. So, parabens and phthalates, specifically coming from the NIH, a quote, parabens and phthalates can also stimulate cell proliferation in estrogen sensitive tissues, raising concern for hormone related cancers such as breast and ovarian cancer. Notably, even low dose chronic exposure to these chemicals has been associated with biological effects due to their capacity for bioaccumulation. What this is saying, parabens and phthalates, very, very common endocrine disruptors. They are stimulating uncontrolled cell growth in estrogen sensitive tissues, which just means tissues that are using estrogen a lot. And it is increasing our risk for hormone related cancers like breast cancer and ovarian cancer, which are extremely, extremely common. And even the low dose exposure has been associated with these types of cancers because of their effects and their abilities to bioaccumulate, which means they slowly accumulate in the body and in your organs and in your tissues. For example, talc, which is used in makeup, can be contaminated with asbestos. When asbestos is inhaled, it has been associated with mesothelioma and ovarian cancer. And I encourage you actually to look at your makeup products, especially your blush, bronzer, powder, foundations. A lot of these powdered products, they contain talc, most of them. Most common big name brands like Charlotte Tilbury, MAC, Giorgio Armani. These common brands that are actually quite expensive, they contain talc. And this is also what is found in baby powder a lot of times. And parents were just like lathering that all over their children, thinking that it was fine, but it was super, super toxic. However, there are some less toxic makeup brands. But again, these products that we are using, especially as women, every single day, they are causing severe issues like cancer, the things that probably every single one of us has been affected by cancer. I mean, it's sad and it's scary to think about it. And on top of the phthalates and the parabens and talc, another thing that is commonly found in makeup products is heavy metals like lead, nickel, chromium, mercury, arsenic. They've all been found in cosmetic products. And these are all shown to cause multiple types of cancer and endocrine disruption. This is another thing too that we should talk about is filtering our water because endocrine disruptors, heavy metals, all these things that are in our skincare products and things that we're using on a daily basis are being contaminated in our water. And another thing that maybe I'll have to do another podcast on is birth control and pharmaceutical residues that are actually in the tap water. And if you're not filtering out your water, there have been studies that have been showing that you are drinking these pharmaceutical residues. And that's actually pretty nerve-wracking to think about, especially like birth control residues. That is causing estrogen disruption and all sorts of issues. Obviously, every single one of us has most likely been affected by cancer. And every single one of us are using these common everyday products, which is why we need to slowly try and incorporate more natural products or just try to reduce our exposure to these hormone disrupting chemicals. And now shifting into skin disorders. So, a lot of these products are causing contact dermatitis, skin issues like rashes, and all sorts of issues. And people with pre-existing skin disorders like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, they are more susceptible to these allergies to artificial fragrances. And many of these endocrine disrupting chemicals have been shown to increase these inflammatory skin conditions. That they are causing rashes, they are causing allergic reactions to the skin. And another thing that is probably extremely scary about these hormone disrupting chemicals, like artificial fragrance, is the neurological effects on your body. Synthetic fragrance and VOCs have increasingly been shown to cause harmful neurological effects. More research is coming out about this, about how harmful these things are for our neurological health. Many symptoms range from headaches, migraines, disrupted mood, emotional dysregulation, cognitive dysfunction. All of these things, whether acute or long term, are happening. What are these chemicals doing to our brain? Our brain is such a sensitive area, and we need our brain. More people are being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, all these sorts of neurological diseases. And we need to get to the bottom of why these things are happening. And I do not doubt for one moment that some of these neurological diseases are definitely being increased, triggered, caused by these harmful chemicals in our environment. VOCs, volatile organic compounds, have been shown to be able to cross the blood-brain barrier, which protects the brain from harmful substances. But obviously, there are some things that are able to cross the blood-brain barrier, and VOCs are one of them. And once the VOCs are in your brain, they can cause oxidative stress, inflammation, cellular injury. These substances are affecting us at the smallest level, the cellular level. They are injuring our brain cells. Another thing is long-term exposure to VOCs is linked to the dysregulation of important processes involved in memory, learning, behavior, and continued exposure to these chemicals can even cause anxiety, depression, and elevates your cortisol levels. These things are so prevalent. We need memory, we need learning, we need to be able to behave in order to literally survive. These are necessary processes in our bodies that are being impaired by chemicals that are allowed in our everyday products. And now more than ever, anxiety, depression, stress levels are at increased highs. These things are so prevalent. And maybe we're just completely turning a blind eye to what is causing these things. All of these disorders, anxiety, depression, they did not used to be quite as prevalent in previous generations. And now I think there's obviously room to say that social media and a lot of other factors are causing this. But why can't we go back to using natural remedies for fragrances like plants? God gave us things to use that will make things smell nice. And instead, we decided that we were going to create harmful chemicals that we're putting in air fresheners and candles and perfume and body products and all sorts of things that we're using all the time. And I firmly believe that it is extremely harmful to our cognitive health, and it is directly impacting anxiety and depression, and it is impacting these things that we're seeing on a regular basis now. And on top of that, prenatal exposure to BPA, bisphenol A, which again, like I said, is in plastic, has been shown to increase autism, ADHD, learning impairments. This stuff is literally lowering our IQ scores, and it is creating detrimental brain development issues. We have seen such an increase in these disorders, especially autism and ADHD and ADD in kids. And there are multiple factors that go into this, but I think a severe and a very significant factor is endocrine disrupting chemicals found in artificial fragrance. Because kids now are being exposed at such a young age. They are being exposed when they're in the womb. Children are being exposed when they're literally in the womb because maybe a mom is spraying perfume or the dad is spraying cologne, or they're spraying hairspray, or they plugged in an air freshener, or they lit a candle, or they have an air freshener in their car. These things are all around us. And like I said earlier, kids now more than ever are being drawn to makeup, cosmetics, perfume, and it is severely impacting their health. And so now you might be thinking, okay, we heard all of this scary information about these endocrine disrupting chemicals. And I will say, some things are not always controllable. I know we just had wildfires all in the Midwest. Unfortunately, that is not fully controllable. Obviously, don't go outside, but you're going to have some exposure to harmful chemicals. Every once in a while, this is very acute, but you might hop in an Uber or someone's car that has an air freshener. It might be 5 minutes. It's going to be okay. But there are plenty of things that we can control, such as what is going on in your own home. How can you decrease your exposure in your home, in your everyday life, something that you're doing every day? So here is what I'm going to say. Look everywhere in your home. Think about everything that you're using on a regular basis. Start with things that are pretty easy to throw away or something that maybe isn't a super expensive swap. For example, if you have plug-in air fresheners, I am begging you to please unplug them. I don't know why they're allowed to be sold anymore. They are neurotoxins. They are lowering IQ scores. They are so, so, so toxic. And you're breathing it in, you're inhaling it every single day. Please unplug the plugins. Another thing is candles. If you are using candles that have artificial fragrances, artificial dyes, they have hormone disrupting chemicals in them. Throw them away. Don't use them. There are much more natural remedies. This might be a little bit controversial. I know some people don't use essential oils, but if you want to still have your house smell nice, but you don't want as many harmful effects as candles, use essential oils. There are natural beeswax candles that have natural fragrances. I know specifically a brand called Natural Sloth that I use. These candles smell amazing. And they actually purify the air because beeswax actually purifies the air, which is really, really cool. And that's something that you can do. Another thing, which might be hard for you, is stop using perfume. I know that's hard for a lot of women, but it is severely, severely harming your health, and it is really hurting your hormones for all the reasons that I listed before. Please stop using perfume. There are more natural things you can use. I know there's a brand called Dime that has better perfume. People are spending hundreds of dollars on really expensive perfumes that are just absolutely demolishing your health. You can even just use a peppermint essential oil or something on your skin, like a plant-based natural remedy or something that is not perfume. Tell the men in your life to stop using cologne. This is harming your fertility and it's harming their health to be using artificial fragrances commonly found in cologne and body products like body wash and all that sorts of stuff. And if you can, slowly start to get rid of your harmful skincare, harmful cosmetic products, harmful makeup. It might take time. It might take you months. It might take you a year. And that's okay. That is totally okay. But slowly, as you start to run out of products, really, really consider what you're buying and think to yourself, is this really beneficial to my health? Is this truly safe for me to be using on a daily basis? That is a lot of information to kind of take in, but I just want you to continue to think about artificial fragrance and what it's actually doing to your health. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Bloom Your Health podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at bloom.yourhealth, and you can follow me on YouTube and Spotify at Bloom Your Health as well. So please stay tuned for more episodes. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.